Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the Blindseyepodcast, the podcast discussing everything you did and didn't want to know about being blind. My name is Connor, I'm your host as usual, and this week we're going to be talking about phones and computers and how I use phones and computers. More specifically, I'm going to demonstrate my phone because it's just a little bit easier with the setup I have because obviously I'm using my computer at the moment. So we'll see how it goes. Usual disclaimer for first time listeners that these are just my thoughts and opinions. I'm not any kind of blind authority. Alas, I wish I was. And, the way the world's going, I might get there. But, we can always dream. Okay, so in terms of how I use my phone, I currently use an iPhone. And that isn't the only phone I've ever used. I used to use the old school Nokias before the iPhones came in because obviously one had buttons and one doesn't. But now I use an iPhone and I use a program or a feature on the iPhone called VoiceOver. Now, VoiceOver is kind of like Siri, but it's like Siri is always switched on. And it's like Siri basically tells you whatever it is you're touching on the screen. And I will give an example now in a few minutes. But yeah, it's kind of like Siri, and it's just a feature that you can turn on in the settings, which is really helpful. The old school way with Nokias is you would have to buy a particular model of the phone, and then you would have to buy software, and then you would have to pay for the software to be put on the phone. So at the time, the phones might have cost $200 for an average person who wasn't vision impaired or blind, and then you'd have to pay for the software and the installation, and all that used to cost close to $900. And what I used to do was my family actually, nicely enough, because they live in Ireland in Europe, and I guess it's because there's a bigger population over there, they used to buy me phones or bought me phones a couple of times while I was over there because it was cheaper. I guess the population is bigger and stuff, but over there the software came already installed in the phones, and this is way before Apple was even in the phone game. So eventually, I guess technology caught up, which is handy. But yeah, now I use an iPhone and I use this software called VoiceOver. Okay, so I have my phone now turned down to a lower speed of speech, so hopefully people will be able to understand it. So I'm holding it in my hand. I'm about to hit the home button.
2:36 p.m. One notification.
So there you go, 2:36 p.m. One notification. So if I click on the home button,
Photos.
it says photos.
Double tap to open.
Double tap to open. So that's how I navigate. Is I move my thumb around the screen, and whatever is underneath my thumb, if I want to click into it, then I'll double tap. So let's try this. I'll go to phone, which is down the bottom of my screen.
Dock. Phone.
So it says dock
Double
phone.
tap to open.
Dock phone. So that means that's the apps down the very bottom that I use most of the time. It tells me I'm in the phone or I'm hovering over the phone app. So if I double tap to open it.
Phone. Selected. All. Button. One
So-
of two.
So it's telling me I'm in a screen there. If I go down the bottom here, across the different pages,
Favorites. Tab. 1 of 5.
there's favorites.
Selected. Recent. Tab. 2 of 5.
And then it says selected recent. So that means that's telling me that that's the screen I'm in at the moment, which is the recent calls and recent missed calls tab. If I flick to the right again,
Contacts. Tab. 3 of 5.
that's the contacts. So that'll be my address book.
Keypad. Tab. 4 of 5.
Keypad, which is where I can enter a number manually.
Voicemail. Tab. 5 of 5.
Voicemail. So yeah, it just basically works the same way as anybody else. So if I was to get out of this, I'll now go to the messages tab. So hitting
Dog.
home,
Phone.
there's phone,
Double tap to open.
double tap to it speaks a lot of crap sometimes. It talks a lot of stuff after the fact, and even though you know how it works, you can't turn it off. But anyway, so if I flick to the right,
Music.
that's music.
Double tap to open.
So I'll be able to go into my library and listen to music in there. I'll flick to the right again.
Messages. One unread message. Double tap to open.
So that's messages, and it's telling me I have one unread message. So if I double click and go in there,
Messages. New message.
it's come up in a new message, because I'm not going to let you read my messages. So it's telling me I'm in a new message. So if I flick to the right,
Cancel. Button.
just cancel if I want to get out.
Two. Text field.
So that's
Double tap to edit.
So that's
Use the rotor to access
shut up.
misspelled words.
That's the to field. So if I want to actually put a name in there or a number, obviously I would do that. So if I keep flicking to the right, I'll show you how I actually insert a message.
Show more. Message. Text field. Is editing. Hello, this is insertion point at start.
So I already had a text in there from a previous attempt I tried. I'll just delete it. Where are we?
Insertion point at end.
So it's telling me insertion point at end. It's telling me I'm at the end.
Misspelled word. Edit.
And I'm using the rotor to...
Undo. Select. Select all. Hello, this return. Delete. Hello, this is a delete.
So I selected all and deleted it just to try again. So I'm in the message box, and you can do this either way. So you can enter the letters manually using the keyboard like everybody else. And I do that by moving my thumb around, and then I lift my thumb up, and that's what inserts the actual key. So I'll try it now. So I go
Cap A. Cap A. V. B. B. C. C. S. D. D. W. A. E. E. R. D. F. F. G. G. U. G. F. E. D. Delete.
So as you can hear with that, I was hitting letters that I didn't really want to hit. And that's kind of part of the issue, because the space, I guess, there is to actually press the letters is quite small. So it's relying on you having a fairly accurate finger press. So that's why I tend to not use that a lot. I tend to use the dictate function. So what I do is I go to the bottom of the keyboard.
Emoji.
There's the emoji keyboard.
Dictate.
There's dictate.
Double tap to start dictation. Double tap with two fingers when finished.
So it tells me to double click to start dictation and to double click when I'm finished dictating. So if I double click here, it's dinged. Testing 1, 2, 3. Check. This is a test text message for the podcast.
Keyboard. Inserted sting testing 123. Check. This is a test text message for the podcast.
So as you can tell there, I pressed the button and I was still talking about what I was about to do. So it caught the start of what I was going to say, and then it caught what I actually wanted to say. And you can, you could say, if you want to enter in a comma or a full stop, you would do that just like the way everybody else does. And that would all come out. So it's actually pretty straightforward once you get the hang of it. Obviously, dictation, it's not an accurate science as yet. If you're in a loud area, you can have issues where it misinterprets. Like often I have to go back in and rewrite a word because, it thinks I'm trying to swear when I'm not, or it thinks I'm not trying to swear when I am. And, but, it kind of just comes with the territory. So the other question I get, which is around like Facebook. So I'm going to give you a listen to my Facebook newsfeed and we'll see what comes up. So I'm in the newsfeed now. I'm going to flick.
The Batuta Advocate, 47 minutes ago. Public. More. No worries. I'll just do some stretches and really try to give myself a good one before I go to sleep, he said. Man should probably just go and fuck himself after his open pub invite goes unanswered, but it wasn't meant to be, he said. Betutadvocate.com. About this content, 553 comments, 20 shares, 1,154 reactions. Like.
Okay, so you heard in that that was the Patuta Advocate that had a post up, and you heard that. I can't believe that's what it came up as. Yeah, so that comes up. It tells you it was posted about 40 something minutes ago. That it was a public post. It tells you how many times it had been shared and what reactions it had had and stuff like that. So it's pretty similar to the way everybody else does it. It's just that it reads it out loud, or you use certain flicks of the screen differently to the way other people would use it. And it works quite well once you get the hang around. Not the hang around, but the hang of it. So yeah, that's how the phone works. I used to always have like awkward kind of encounters with people because, there are a lot of people who don't understand how somebody who can't see can use a phone. And especially like after work, I'd get on the train and I'll pull out my phone, pull out my headphones. And I remember this one day, these girls had like moved aside to let me sit down. And then I sat down, pulled out my phone, put on my headphones, and they like wanted the seat back because they thought I was lying about being blind. And it's because they didn't know any better. So then I had to give the whole train carriage basically a public demonstration to prove that I wasn't lying, which was interesting. And sadly as well, there has been a lot of viral content where, some idiot decides he knows better and takes a photo of a blind person without their consent off in the distance, maybe using their phone. And this person goes, if I don't know how that works, therefore it can't exist, therefore this person is lying. And then they post it online and, all these people get on their high horse about how this person is clearly lying about having a disability. And unfortunately, it's just because they're dumbasses who decide, they don't need to do any further investigation to find out whether there's a, gap in their knowledge. It's just that, this person is lying, and that's not the case. And there's actually been quite a few instances of people, like blind people, getting abused for claiming to be fake, or somebody on the street stopping them saying you're just pretending to be blind and all this kind of stuff, which is pretty horrible. So yeah, that's how it works. And all Apple products and most of the Samsung products now, they're the two big guys, have these built-in features. So I have an Apple Watch, it works the exact same way. I have an Apple TV, so it reads out the apps that are on the TV, and I can watch YouTube and Netflix and do all that through there. And that's much better than the way it used to be, where, you used to just have to remember how many clicks of the remote control meant what. Or you just have to, flick up and down and hope for the best. So the functionality has really come a long way. As I said in the beginning as well, my computer works the same way, but it's a bit harder to demonstrate because I'm actually using it at the moment. But it's essentially a different kind of program that works the exact same way as the phone. So when I press a key, it will say what I've pressed. It will read out what's on the screen. And instead of me using the mouse or the touchpad, I just learned touch typing, so I know where all the keys are, and I learned different keystrokes. So it means I'm able to use Microsoft Office, Facebook, online shopping, PayPal, Gmail, all that, all the usual stuff. So yeah, I hope that was interesting, and I hope the whole mix of technologies worked okay there. I can go further into different apps that I specifically use that are for blind people, but I'll do that at another point. I just thought this would be a nice little introduction. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this week. You can always get in touch with me via email or Twitter. So you can email me at blindseyepodcast@gmail.com. That's BLINDSEYE podcast@gmail.com. Or you can tweet me at blindseyepod, and I will catch you next week. Cheers.